Record the cloud. You should hear the thing that says recording in progress. Thank you, everybody, for being here. My name is Tyler Lane, and this is the August Planning and Zoning meeting for the Jeffreys Point Neighborhood Association. It's just going to be me tonight. So bear with me here. We do have two agenda items. We've got the shipyard, which is going to give us an update, I believe, on some permitting things that they're doing with the Mass Department of Environmental Protection regarding the relieving dock and their or graving dock and the relieving platform. I might have screwed those two terms up, but I know I got some of the terminology right. And then it'll be followed by our third presentation of the 11 Cheever project. Um, I'm assuming most of us have been here before. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, we generally ask that you kind of wait till the end of the presentation to ask the question. We generally do ask, it's best if you want to write your question in the chat and I can kind of present it for you. If you really do want to ask your question, just kind of raise your hand, wait for an opportune time, and I'll kind of call on you to ask that question. If you have a question, you don't feel comfortable sort of asking it in public or asking it in the public chat or anything like that, feel free to write to me personally or privately in the chat, just to Tyler Lane in the chat function, and I can kind of anonymously ask your question on that behalf. And as always, if you're like me and sometimes you think of a question after the fact, after the meeting is concluded, always feel free to email us at board@jeffreyspoint.org, and we can always follow up with whoever we need to and get your question answered. With that, I am going to turn it over to Marshall and Brian from the shipyard to give a presentation. Marshall, if you want to share your screen, I think we've been over this before. You've known me enough. I'll probably screw it up if I share it. So if you feel comfortable and you're ready to go, knock yourself out. I can do it if you need me to,
Yeah, I
but
can I
oh,
can
go
do
for it,
it.
Brian.
It's no
Yeah, there
problem.
you
Yeah,
go.
Brian will take it. He
Yeah,
he he can share it. But yeah, I'll just jump in.
sure.
Thank you everyone for having us. As Tyler mentioned, we're just gonna give a couple updates since our last meeting and try and keep everyone kind of up to date on what we have going on. So thanks again for having us, and let Brian take it away here.
Yeah. So like Marshall was saying, thank you guys. Since our last planning and zoning meeting, we have submitted for an ENF. Um so we're here to inform you all kind of the next steps, what we're up to. Um so currently we're under construction for the travel lift piers, which we'll chat about more in a couple slides. But and we also are in the MIPA process for the relieving platform and the graving dock. Um, yeah, the travel lift piers. So they're currently under construction. They're going great. It started up in May, and currently the expected completion is that is not, sorry, it should say November. It's November of 2026. Um but the shipyard, it's been going well. It's located in between Pier 3 and Pier 4. Um so yeah, the investment plan update. Um we're currently, as I was just saying, under MIPA files right now, permitting process to repair the relieving platform, which is located in between Pier 2 and Pier 3, as well as filling the graving dock. Um, these will both be very kind of important uh, steps in the part of the investment plan to improve the infrastructure in the shipyard. As you can see here, the this is the relieving platform. Um, it's we get sinkholes periodically. The infrastructure is failing, uh, and we are constantly repairing it. And so we're that's what we're in process of permitting to fill it and repair it. This is the existing conditions of the graving dock. So the graving dock was built in the 1950s. Um, it's in complete disrepair. Uh, it's currently, even if we tried to repair it, wouldn't be practical to be used for current ship repair. And so that is part of the MIPA process. So yeah, project benefits. So we're gonna all this to said is be to support really the marine industry and the harbor. It would help out our tenants as well as help out the harbor in general with ferries and um, ferry repair and the filling of the graving dock would make it so we have one big open yard and be able to not bring uh, vessels and stuff onto Marginal Street, essentially. So that is kind of the benefits. The timeline. So as I was just saying earlier, we've filed the ENF through MIPA. The currently we're in the MIPA process through with consultation through the end of August, and then the comment period starts up in September, uh, as well as then we get the certificate for ENF mid-September, and then fall of 26, we have to file with local, state, federal approvals with Boston Conservation, Mass DEP, and Army Corps. And that's kind of it for the project update. Anybody got any questions or discussions?
Thank you, Brian. Ian Marshall. I do just to, I think probably most folks on the call are pretty aware, but just in case of some that aren't, and I'm probably going to butcher some of the technical terms here, so I apologize in advance, but I think you guys will get the idea. The shipyard and a lot of the waterfront infrastructure in Boston is subject to basically this Department of Environmental Protection thing called these Chapter 91 protections. And basically, when changes to these waterfront areas need to be made. These waterfront, I'm going to use properties, have to go through an approval process with the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. And we, as residents and kind of abutting residents, and really any member of the public, to be honest, but especially us as abutting residents, have the opportunity to kind of weigh in on this with the state. You know what I mean? To sort of say, hey, we don't really like that, or we do support this. And a lot of these Chapter 91 obligations, part of these groups that utilize this waterfront property, they do end up having to have certain public obligations in terms of access, public access to the waterfront and certain public goods. That's how those of you who've been to these meetings before, that's how kind of the portside development is required to kind of create a community room. Other areas along the waterfront here in Boston are required to sort of again provide public utility. But because this is a project that's going on in the shipyard, they've got to go through this sort of permitting process with the state, and we all have the ability to kind of weigh in on that. Brian, can I ask you a favor? Can you just go back to that timeline slide?
Yeah.
Any member of the public, you can reach out to the DEP directly and comment on this. If anybody does have any kind of comment and you want to raise it through us through the JPNA, let us know, and we'd be happy to kind of forward that on your behalf from the JPNA. But that's really what's kind of going on here. I actually have a kind of a question for you guys. I was just there dropping my dog off today, who was in dire need of a haircut at Harbor Hounds. And there was a hell of a racket from a drill. Is that from the travel pier? Is that
Yeah,
drill
yeah.
piling
So
from the travel pier construction?
yeah, that's what that is, and appreciate the local supporting the local tenants, the Harbor Hounds. It's probably one of our most popular businesses down there. But yeah, so the that is from driving sheet piles. So what they're doing is they're essentially hammering those sheet piles into the mud there, and sometimes, especially with an old property like the shipyard, they run into obstructions, so they have to hammer through them. um, you know for Fortunately, with the sheets, we should be done with those in the next week or so, is the update that we got today from the contractor. So, but yeah, that's essentially replacing a bulkhead, the one directly with the piers go off of, that was constructed in the 40s, and then we've since returned kind of north, headed back towards the hill a little bit, where there's a granite bulkhead from the late 1800s. So that's what's kind of being replaced with those sheets, and yes, that unfortunately is what the racket is from.
Well, thank you. As somebody in the chat is pointing out, it's I guess it's been pretty frequent, and I can imagine if you were living nearby, that would be pretty jarring. So thank you for the update, and hopefully that gets done as soon as possible. I guess I'm pretty fortunate. I'm kind of on the other end of the neighborhood. I've got to deal with the tall ship, noise and commotion. But yeah. Um, um, yeah. So your best estimate, you said the contractors told you today it should be done
Next
within
week.
a week by next week.
Yeah.
Okay, by next week. Okay.
It's hard, it's hard for them to predict, because, to a day or anything like that, because again, they find an obstruction down there or something that slows them. They have a slow day, but yeah, we're pushing to get that done.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you for that. And are any other questions for the shipyard? Thank you guys for giving us an update about the submission and things like that. We definitely appreciate it when you guys come to us and just keep us abreast of the goings on there.
Absolutely.
Mhm. I'm not seeing any additional questions. So if you do have any, again, feel free to email us at board@jeffreyspoint.org. If you do feel like submitting a comment to the EPA, feel free to reach out, and you're unsure of how to do so, feel free to reach out to us. We can kind of point you in the right direction or help you out with that. And yes, just had a question about the presentation slides, which prompted me to remind everybody that the presentation slides for both this presentation and the following one are actually, I believe, already posted. They were posted earlier this morning, I believe, on our website, jeffreyspoint.org. Just go to our project folder and kind of search by the location. You'll find them there. All right. Cool. Well, thank you guys from the
Yeah.
shipyard. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Hope you guys have a good night.
You too.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, guys. All right. And with that, we're going to move on to 11 Cheever. So this is actually going to be 11 Cheever's third presentation to the planning and zoning. They sent over some information, and we get some more concrete plans from them. I believe, I said this at the meeting last month. Um, uh, Obviously, this is a project with some passionate neighbors, some passionate abutters who live next door. And there's a lot going on with this particular project. I think a lot of that we're already all familiar with. If there's anyone who's not familiar with it, we're happy to kind of cover all that, just to sort of, again, reset, level set. What I think we'll do here is we're gonna hear from the project. We're gonna go over their presentation, look at their plans. We can ask some questions based on the new material presented to us today. If people do have questions, again, I've got one or two because I've already looked at the slides. I'll certainly ask those. If people have additional questions based on what's presented today, just write them in the chat. You can either write them in the chat publicly or write them to me privately, and I'll ask on your behalf. Again, you can also write to us at the board. Feel free to email us with any questions or concerns you have. At the conclusion of this particular meeting, at this presentation, we're going to have them come, if they so choose, we're going to have them come and present at next month's full regular monthly meeting. Full regular monthly meeting. And that is going to be on Monday, September 14th. Full disclosure, I may or may not be there. Certainly my colleagues will be there. That is my 12th wedding anniversary, so we'll see if I get away with that one or not. But at that meeting, they're going to give basically this presentation again. Everybody will at that point have a chance to sort of weigh in. We'll kind of keep it relatively brief, but we'll give everybody sort of a chance to weigh in publicly. And at that point, the project would then go to a vote. And again, to be eligible for a vote, you've got to have attended at least one of our last 3 regularly scheduled monthly meetings. So that's going to be either the meeting on September 14th, would have been the potluck we had in July because our August meeting was canceled this month, or the prior meeting in June. As long as you've attended one of those 3 meetings and you're a resident of Jeffreys Point, you'll get a ballot and we'll get a chance to vote on that. Enough of me yapping. With that, I'm going to turn it over, I think, to Frank. Frank, are you there? He was here earlier. Hold on a second. Frank, you there? Frank, can you unmute? You guys can hear me, right? Frank, you there?
Hey, sorry, Tyler, were you reaching
Yeah.
out to me?
No, not you, Brian. I was reaching out to somebody else. I'm just making sure that folks could still hear me. But thank you. You're all set. You're good to go.
Okay. I
Yeah.
heard my name.
No, yeah, you're good. It was for a Frank. You're good. Frank, you there? All right, guys, we're going to give this another minute or two, and then I do see that he's in the meeting. He's in here twice, but he's not responding at all. So we'll see how this goes. All right, guys, we're going to give this another minute or two. I don't want to keep anybody longer than they need to be. So we do have, like I said, I think the project manager, the person who's presented for this project at the prior 2 meetings, in the room right now. Frank, are you there? Can you hear me? Frank. All right, guys. Well, I don't want to belabor the point or waste anybody's time. Oh, hold on. He's entered the waiting room. Hold on. I think we might. Frank, can you hear me? Frank.
Yes, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Okay. All right.
Took a minute. I had to
Okay.
lost internet. So
Okay. Okay. Can you present your slides?
If you can put up my slides, I can walk them through. I'm talking from my phone now at the moment. So
Okay. Hold on. Give me a
thanks.
moment here. Let me
Thank
pull them
you.
up. Okay. So take me a second here. Okay. All right. Frank, can you see my screen?
I can. We're
Okay.
good.
All right. Here you go.
All right. So this is just a general overview. We've already talked about this quite lengthily. Um, but the plan here is to try to construct a 3-family on the lot that the house collapsed on. So we can go to the next slide here. Again, just the timeline of permits and history. We've talked about this. There's really nothing new here. We can go to the next slide. This is the updated zoning relief table that was requested,
Yeah, thank you.
highlighting the violations that have been flagged by ISD, being front yard, side yard, rear yard insufficient, lot coverage is excessive, required permittable area is insufficient, and then building height excessive where 3 stories is allowed and the proposal is for 4 stories. So all the dimensions are here. You'll see, the front yard basically requires 5 feet. It's a 0 feet proposal. Side yards 3 feet, and we're proposing 1.4. And then rear yard 13 feet required, requesting 7 inches basically. So right here, you will see the original building permit for the property, which identifies it as a 3-family. And then what I'm trying to call out here is also the dimensions of the building, which you'd see 20 feet on the side, on the front, 20 feet on the rear, and then 31.6 for the depth. And if you go to the next slide here, you'll see that the foundation that was put there to replace what has collapsed was put in and mirrored those dimensions. So that is what we're showing here. It's called the existing foundation. It was the foundation that was put in after the original building collapsed, which kind of led us here.
Yeah. So this is just okay. So this was the existing one, and then this outer line is what was
That outer line
poured?
is the property line. So it's called existing because when the surveyor did it, the foundation was there. But because there was a non-existing foundation, which is what led to this collapse. So what we're calling the existing foundation is what is currently sitting in the ground today at the stopped project.
But to be very clear, that was a foundation that was poured that was not originally existing. That's a foundation that
Correct.
is
That
less
is
than
correct.
a year old. Okay.
Correct. But the surveyor, because when he drew these plans, he has to list it as existing. So we're not trying to say this was existing from back then, but when the surveyor showed up and drew this updated plan, that foundation was there. So he has to call it existing. Just
Yeah. Okay,
okay.
I understand.
Yep.
Yep.
That's
Okay.
the intent there.
So
But
the outer line here is the
the property
claimed
line.
property line. The
Correct.
claimed property line.
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
And then we go into the design slides here, this is the same design that we showed you guys at the last meeting. The 4-story building with the first floor unit, a second floor unit, and then a dual bi-level unit on the 3rd and 4th floor with a partial roof deck out the back side of it. And then here we get into the design of each of the floors. So you'll see the first floor unit, ground level. The bedrooms are a little over 100 square feet each. One of them has a master bath, kitchen with a combined dining and living room. So smaller unit, little over, just under 600, just under 700 square feet living area. But works. Second floor, slightly different floor plan, but ultimately the same thing. One bedroom and then another bedroom with a master, combined living and kitchen, about the same square footage. Lose a little bit to that extra hallway. And then if you go into the third and fourth floor, for the third floor layout very much mirrors the other two units, and then you go into the fourth floor where you have that bonus room with the walkout deck, and this is roughly 1,000 square feet for the unit. So
Um,
and then just some interior renderings of potential design ideas.
Frank, just in my review of this before the meeting, I did notice, the roof deck and you've got that in your plans here. However, that's not at all reflected on this exterior design,
No,
nor is a roof deck listed in your zoning relief required.
so
Which I know,
if you scroll down a little bit, the roof deck, go back to the exterior.
yep.
The roof deck is that area on the right-hand side,
Oh, okay. So
right? So
this,
that's,
all
it
right,
walks
gotcha.
out and so you don't really have a railing, you have, the wall kind of built up around it.
Understood. Understood. Okay, so it's not going to be, so what you're calling the roof deck, sorry, let me see if I can make this a little larger for folks. So what you're calling the roof deck in this, if you guys can see my mouse, I'm not sure if you can, in this area, this kind of L-shaped area, it's
Correct.
not going to be above this top roof line on the left.
Correct. So it's a roof deck because it sits above the roof of the third floor, but it's not to the
Uh,
elevated position. Yeah.
Understood,
Yeah.
which is just for other folks, so they know it. That's why it would then not require an individual variance in that
Yeah.
respect, because it's not going higher than the top of the building.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's no hatch, there's no head
Yeah.
house, there's none of that. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm gonna stop sharing this real quick because I gotta check back to see. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. I do, yeah, I'm sorry. I was just reading the questions and the comments. So the original that permit from 1898, I know we've covered this before, but just for everybody's benefit and things like that, it was originally the last thing on file with the city was from 1898. It said for a three family, but to everybody's understanding, for at least in the lifetime of probably anybody on this call, that the prior building existed as a single family home, correct?
Yeah, I would agree to that.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And then, we do have the comment, the dimensions on the 1898 building permit, this is from the direct abutter. And again, I do just have to call this into, again, JP&A isn't taking a position necessarily on a property line dispute, but we do have to call into fact that, again, a new foundation was poured, and the abutter claims, and I don't, again, all I could say is that a new foundation was poured, and the abutter claims it is now closer to their property than the previous foundation was. And there is that property line question is in dispute. I just have to raise that as an issue.
Yeah, I would acknowledge that the foundation very well could be closer, but the property line and the position of the foundation as it exists today has been confirmed by the surveyor to be correct. And
Mhm.
again, no one has any, documented distance on the original building, but so it very well could be closer, but from our perspective, the property line and the current position of the foundation are matched to the reflected plans that we're showing. So
I mean, that might,
Yeah.
just for the sake of argument, I mean, if you guys have engaged with a professional surveyor and gotten the lot surveyed and, yep, this is on the property line, yep, everything is all set. I mean, that's something, at least me, I'm only speaking as a voting resident, somebody who will be voting on this project, just my one single vote, but like that would certainly
Well, that's
to
what
help me make
he's
my
the same guy.
decision.
He's the same guy who drew that plot plan showing the
No,
existing
that's fine. I
foundation.
mean, I'll share that, but
Yeah.
that's not, I mean, I'm not a professional surveyor,
Yeah.
but hold on, let me share my screen again.
Again, that was just
Um,
a screenshot to
no,
make
but
it fit
that's
on the slide.
again,
Yeah.
but I mean, we need to vote on this as a project to say this. Like we need actual information rather than a screenshot of a slide. Like
Yep.
this isn't, 79 Cheever Court, 39. I don't, this is just, again, this isn't even noted as a property line, but granite block wall, I would question then if this is truly the property line, who owns I mean, is this city property for this like 6 inches between the granite block wall and the, things like that. Like a surveyor, having looked at a lot plan before, I know there's probably more to it than this. And we don't need to necessarily put it uh in a presentation, everything like that. But if we have access to that, you know what I mean?
Sure.
If that's a full thing, you feel free to send it over to us and we can
Yep.
distribute it to concerned parties and have
I'll
people
share the
kind of
full
look at it.
version, which is it's part of the plan set that was sent to the city, but which you guys should have, but I will send the separate plot
Yeah,
plan.
we've never received that. Yeah, we've never
Got it.
received that, and we've. I will also say this is now the third meeting we've had. We've asked for as much information as humanly possible given to us at each time. So I'll repeat that again. All right. Okay. Yeah, Lisa, do you have? Hold on,
Um,
Lisa, go for it. Sorry, I muted you.
all good.
Go
Am
ahead.
I off mute
Yeah,
now?
you're good. You're good.
I
We can
just
hear.
I just wanted to chime in to say I'm not disputing the property line so much as expressing that the side yard insufficiency and the backyard insufficiency make me feel unsafe in my home as the direct abutter because that side yard and that backyard are my route of emergency egress. In case of a fire, my back door is behind the house and coming up that side alley or what used to be, there was space behind the 11 Cheever property. Those are my escape routes, and they have been either diminished or cut off by the pouring of the larger new foundation. So it is less about the property line and more about granting these zoning exceptions makes me feel unsafe in my home in case of emergency. Just to be clear, what is driving the comment there. Thank you.
No, thank you, Lisa. And that's extremely helpful. I really appreciate that clarification. Lisa, just Frank, so you and everybody else know, is that direct abutter at 7 to 9 Cheever Court there. Thank you, Lisa, for clarifying that. I personally very much appreciate that. I believe, Frank, does that kind of make sense what you were saying there? Yeah. Okay.
That aligns with where I
Yeah.
thought she was coming from.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, and I let me personally apologize for sort of conflating the particular issue there. Where it's more of this larger foundation was poured prior to soliciting comment about, hey, this is going to be insufficient size. How am I supposed to get out? So on and so forth.
Correct.
So yeah. Okay. With that, but I actually, if you do have that surveyor stuff, Frank,
Yep.
please do
I will
send
forward
that
you.
to us.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I'd appreciate that. That would be
Forward.
helpful, and we can make that available to everybody.
Sure.
This presentation, these slideshows, are hosted on our webpage at jeffreyspoint.org. If you just go over to our kind of, it's under the headers, the project folders, like under other links, you can kind of follow it there. These recordings, again, they are available on YouTube. You got to go through our webpage into the YouTube section because they're hosted privately. You can't just search Jeffrey's Point on YouTube. You won't find it that way. Give us a couple of days to get this up on YouTube, but you will be able to kind of watch this after the fact on YouTube. And with that, does anybody have any additional questions for Frank? So thank you, Frank, for sending that along.
Yeah.
Thank you for getting those structural stuff over to us. That was helpful, those additional drawings and stuff like that. Thank you for explaining the roof deck.
Yep.
That was helpful. And if nobody has any other questions, again, feel free to reach out to us at board@jeffreyspoint.org. We'll end up talking to Frank and the project folks at 11 Cheever but I would assume that they're going to present again for at our next full monthly meeting, which is going to be on September 14th at 7 p.m. And that'll be our voting meeting. You know, we'll send out the ballot after that. But at that meeting, we're going to have them present this full project, give kind of the history of it, what's going on with it, what they're asking us to approve for the city. And then everybody will get a chance to kind of weigh in one way or the other at that meeting. And then we'll vote after that. All right.
Sounds good.
All right, folks. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. And with that, I am going to stop the recording. And